The carnivore diet is the perfect diet. Actually, it's now the vegan diet. Actually, it's neither of the diets, and you just need to take these very specific 12 supplements. But then the next person is going to tell you that if you take those supplements, your body is just going to urinate them out, so you're not actually getting any benefit from it. And then the person after that is going to tell you the key is having the perfect bedtime routine. Someone else will say it's the morning routine. And then the next person is going to tell you it is some specific salt wash you have to do every single morning for your face. And then the person after that is going to tell you that your squat is all wrong just because your foot is facing out 2 degrees too far. And somehow after following all of this to the T, we are still anxious, we're still overweight, and we're still unhappy, struggling in all of our personal relationships and professional relationships. But for some reason, we're just hanging on to the idea that the next little tidbit of information we get is going to be the one that will change everything. So we keep waiting and we keep trying the next routine over and over and over. Not too long ago, I started wondering what the point of all of this optimization was that I was trying to do. It didn't seem to be getting me anywhere, and maybe the problem wasn't that I didn't know enough. Maybe the problem is that I actually knew too much. The older I get, watching myself and other people, the more I've realized that we are consistently fixated on the micro and we tend to neglect the macro. For example, I worked with this guy, I'm just gonna leave his name out of it, and he is 34 years old, 5'7" and 135 pounds. He has been trying for 10 years to gain weight, and he said he could never, no matter how hard he tried, get above 140 pounds. So I asked him what he was doing, and he broke down the mechanisms of insulin resistance and how your body goes into using glucose versus glycogen and where the shift is and on and on and on. And then he told me he was only eating 2 meals a day because a doctor online said that's what you need to do. And he's never allowing his blood sugar level to get above 80 because that's what the doctor said you should do. And somehow the doctor also convinced him that you shouldn't count protein, and when you're looking at calories, you should always just subtract the protein from the number. But he is so fixated on the micro. He is so fixated on it that he's missing the broad picture of the macro, and yeah, he's following the wrong type of people, for sure. And then you look at dating advice, and it says, don't text back too quickly, text back in exactly this window. Actually, don't wear this color, you need to wear this color instead. And actually, don't wear that cologne either, you need to wear this one with these specific pheromones injected into it. That way, they're instantly physically attracted to you. And at the end of the day, we're focusing on all these micro issues instead of trying to just say, hey, how can I be the person somebody else would want to date? Instead, we're trying to manipulate them with micro factors. And then you see it in faith. You need to have this many Bible verses memorized. You need to go to this amount of Bible studies every single month. You need to read this many religious books every single year. You need to listen to this many sermons even during the week. But then somewhere along the line, we're just checking boxes and we forgot that it's just supposed to be a relationship with Jesus. The same pattern exists everywhere. We get so caught up in over-optimizing every single little thing that we just forget the entire purpose behind what we are doing. The best results in life normally come from a handful of small principles. For fitness, you just need to lift consistently, eat well, sleep consistently, and stay hydrated, and you're probably 95% of the way there. You don't need daily hormones to optimize your testosterone perfectly. You don't need that daily ice bath, and you also don't need that supplement that you got with your favorite podcaster's discount code. It's probably not making much of a difference. You don't need the perfect nutrient timing, and you probably don't need to sit down and worry that you're eating too much protein in a single meal and that influencer from Instagram told you that your body can only take in so many grams in this time period, so now you're just wasting it all. I know people who spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month on supplements, and somehow they still feel horrible. But it's because they're neglecting core needs. They're just not getting sunlight, they're not active, and they're not working out. The supplements are not going to cover up for the macro issues you're missing. But the fundamentals work consistently, and that stays true for everything in life. In relationships, be honest, be kind, and just be loyal and dependable. With money, spend less than you earn, invest, be patient. In your faith life, pray, read the Bible, attend church, and search for ways to serve other people. And the hardest part for everybody, but the most simple, is to live the life that you claim you live. We all want to say we do things, we all want to say we act a certain way on Instagram or wherever it may be, or out with our friends, but you know who you really are. You know who you really are when you're home alone. You know who you are when you're hangry and you're upset. Just consistently be the person you claim to be. I think people keep getting trapped because the complexity is much easier than the consistency. It's much easier to buy supplements, research the new diet, listen to the podcast, download some new productivity app that you saw that's going to help because it blocks out distractions, or listen to some video on how to optimize your day than it is to just show up consistently every day and do the work without distraction. But there's also something else here. The more complexity you add to these systems, the more you have something else to blame when something goes wrong. Oh, I actually found out that diet doesn't work. Maybe it wasn't your consistency. Maybe it was just the wrong supplements. Maybe it wasn't your sleep cycle. Maybe it was actually the nutrient type. Or maybe it was the moon phase because you're a Leo and the moon was in retrograde or whatever. Complexity gives us excuses so we feel validated acting like everything is out of our control. Simplicity is going to remove those excuses, but it's going to make you vulnerable because you cannot hide behind them anymore. Because when the answer is simple, there's nowhere to hide your insufficiencies. Everything comes to light. Eventually, this recently started driving me absolutely mad, so I came up with some filters for myself. That way, I can shift away from the madness. The first thing I did was get rid of social media. Not because social media is bad for you, but if I open my phone and I'm listening to advice from 200 different people, and they're all telling me what the best way to live is, I'm not them. I don't know what the best way to live is for me if I'm following everyone else. You need to cut out all of that outside noise so you can hear yourself. And also, how can I ever stick to one thing long enough to see if it works for me if every week I'm getting fed a new influencer that's giving me a different system that I need to follow, so I'm just system hopping over and over? So now there's a few things I ask myself anytime I hear someone trying to give this advice. The first one is, do you want to be like that person in that domain of life? Are they thriving financially with their relationships, with the area they are giving advice in? The second one is this solving a problem that I actually have? I've been convinced by podcasters before that I need some new specific focus supplement to help me focus and work better, even though when I think about it, I actually didn't have issues with focusing. Just hearing that video made me question myself, and now I'm like, oh, maybe I am. I need to try it anyway. And then you go down this rabbit hole. And would this still matter if social media didn't exist? That is a huge one, because a lot of these problems are created by social media. They're not problems, again, that we actually have. And then, is this fundamental, or is this just optimization? Am I just over-optimizing again on something that doesn't really matter and I'm not going to notice a big impact in my life with? These questions for me consistently eliminate 95% of all the noise, so I was able to find some inner peace. And I'm not saying the details never matter, because they definitely do. But the details should all come after the fundamentals, not before. You can't optimize a system that you don't already have firmly developed because you don't know what you need help with. We don't need another optimization protocol. We just need more consistency. We need to show up without the noise and find who we truly are when we are not being influenced by everything external. It is mentally exhausting hearing about all these new things that we should be better at and we should be working on and we need to be optimizing. But a lot of those things are just stealing our time and attention, and they're making us inefficient in the macro. That way we can focus on the micro. So it takes us away from the ultimate mission. Maybe life actually gets better when you cut out all of the noise and all of the outside perspectives of what everyone else thinks you need to do. I know for me, in these last few months, it's brought me a fair amount of inner peace. So maybe instead of trying to optimize and find the right supplement or the right program or the right breathing technique for 15, 20, 30 hours a week, whatever your screen time may be, maybe we just put the phone down, disconnect from the social media, reclaim ourselves, and find what we actually want to be working on.